Hello and welcome to the Mandalorian Fan Podcast. I'm Hank,
And I'm Alex.
and we're your hosts. We're covering The Bad Batch on Disney Plus. Oh my goodness, this was episode 13 of season 2. My goodness, it was called Infested, and I knew I wasn't gonna like the
Mm,
title because that stuff creeps me
I
out. But
I thought it was called Fillermania.
it's called Never Going to Get to the Final Sequence of season 1. So they don't have much left, so they're gonna have to get on the stick here. But we'll see how that shakes out. All right, let's get right into it, shall we?
All right.
The Bad Batch land, and they're complaining about a mission where the drop zone was swarming with gun darks, and they said that Sid keeps leaving out details. Was I the only one that was like, "Hey, let's pick up wherever that mission was," instead of how we actually started?
Yeah. Um yeah, this episode was kind of all over the place and nowhere near was it getting toward where it should have been.
No.
But it was cool seeing the Gundart because
Yeah.
I know, Empire Strikes Back, they were mentioned and so now we finally get to see one.
Two soldier types eyeball the team inside of the parlor. And then there's two outside, two or three. And then there's more of them inside. And they try to stop the Bad Batch from going into what would be Sid's office. And that doesn't work out too well. But Ord Mantell is now under the control of Roland. And what did you think of this character, Roland? Have we seen him before?
Oh, I hate technology sometimes. But anyway, yeah, this is a creature that we saw in New Hope, and I'm like, boy, it kind of looks familiar. And I thought, I bet you they're going to try to explain the character we saw in New Hope, but alas, it was not. So this is a
Darn.
brand new character.
Okay.
So this is Roland Durand and part of a crime syndicate. I think his mother is the head of it.
Yeah, it
So
sounded like she was the big boss.
yeah, yeah. So yeah. So this is so he took over Sid's operation and was like, well, I don't think they did a good job explaining as to why and how of how he did that, but
Right. And how
maybe I
fast
had
he did it.
yeah, yeah.
Because
So
that would have been them just being out on a mission. And then by the time they get back, he's just chilling in the office.
right.
And she doesn't have any, she doesn't have a lot of on world muscle to help her, make all these different rules and stuff. I mean, anybody could
Mhm.
just come in and take over, apparently.
Oh, definitely.
So the Bad Batch, they're considering just taking off, leaving Ord Mantell.
Mhm.
They debate looking for Sid when Omega pops in and says she's concerned. Don't you think we should help Sid out? Now it was kind of funny, but it was kind of cutthroat that they were just like, yeah, we should get out of here. And nobody but Omega said anything about even looking for Sid.
Omega was kind of the conscience of the group. And and I totally agreed with her too, because you know what? She helped us out when we needed her. Why can't we do the same to her?
Most certainly. Yeah.
And they were all gonna bail on her. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of odd.
Not good. Then Sid appears and wants to talk to the team. So Roland is the son of the crime boss, Issa Duran, and Sid threatens them to get them to help. She's like, you know what? I've been good at keeping secrets. So I was like,
I
oh man, that's a terrible way to do it, but okay. Goggles, I mean, Tech is quick. He's learning fast. They're going to steal the spice shipment and mess up Roland's deal. That's how they'll disrupt his whole operation because he's dealing with the Pikes, and Sid says those are individuals you want to stay off their radar.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, and
cavern.
I
Oh,
I don't know if anybody remembers this, but, we saw the Pikes in, Clone Wars, and I think it was the last season we saw them, and Ahsoka had dealings with them.
oh, yep, yes. The caverns have an infestation problem. So you have to stay quiet. And it reminded me a lot of the movies that they're doing now where it's about being silent and such. So I was like, they're just piggybacking on Hollywood, I guess.
I finally watched that movie for the first time, I think it was last week, actually, and then, fortunately, after watching the first one, they were showing the second one, so I had a Paramount Plus preview thing, and so yeah, it was really good. I enjoyed it.
Nice. Wrecker drops his flashlight and presto, here comes the hive, but not yet. No, they're just making noise. They're trying to tease you to get you frightened over this hive down there.
And this reminded me of Lord of the Rings, the very Fellowship of the Ring, where when they're the Fellowship are in the mines of Moria, and Pippin does something to screw it up, and all of a sudden he makes all this noise, and all of a sudden orcs everywhere. They just swarm, and that's exactly what this reminded me of. So kind of a shout out to Peter Jackson, I guess.
Sid has someone leave a trail of crumbs for the little pet Ruby, who is Roland's prized possession, and draws Roland out of the parlor. So the Bad Batch find the 6 crates of spice and steal them. However, Ruby escapes, which makes their exit a little more too close for comfort. And Roland's like, catch the 2 that took Ruby and kill them. And I was like, this show is getting hardcore, in my opinion. It's kind of scary. Roland shoots the
Yeah,
door to Sid's office and notices the spice is gone and his soldiers are in hot pursuit. What were you gonna say?
um, yeah. What's funny is, Clone Wars, when they started this type of animation, kind of I think it was what, Cartoon Network, so it started kind of as like a kids type kiddie type show, and then it just kind of evolved, and now we're getting a little bit darker. And I know times have changed. When I was watching Star Trek Discovery this week for the first time, so I'm in the middle of season 1, and then all of a sudden the officers are talking, and they were just using the F word left and right. I'm like a Star Trek series using the F word? What's going on? We're living in crazy times right now, boys and girls.
Yes, yes. Things have drastically changed. What they call storytelling now is so different than what it used to be. The hive is awake. They don't like light. So Wrecker seals the door just in time, and Roland has the 2 cronies who are spilling their guts about everything. But the Pikes are there, and they are not happy at all. Roland and company pull their weapons on him, which was an absolute mistake. And he says you should go back to Obadiah and wait. And the Pikes are like, "Oh yeah, we'll take care of you and your
Mm.
family." I was like, "My
Yep.
goodness, man, they are legit scary
They
characters."
don't mess around, kind of like the Russian mob, I guess.
Yes, that's a great parallel.
Mhm.
Yes, they would be like the Serbians, man. They're just
Yeah.
like, yeah, we'll come
All
get you.
business. Don't mess around.
I was at work, and they'll just come drag you out of work and take you to task. You're like, what? You're at a
We've been
police
watch
station.
we've been watching too many episodes of The Sopranos.
Yes. Yes. Sid, this was the most ignorant point of the episode, in my opinion. There was a couple of them, but this one was the most ignorant.
Mhm.
When Sid's like, "Oh yeah, it should be safe to go back there now." Like, you don't have more cronies that you can go spot the place out?
Yeah, what happened to all these people that are supposed to be working for her? She's in charge of this, this organization, and all of a sudden, the only ones we have are the Bad Batch, and then a couple of her, just like two of her cronies, the Hammerhead, and I don't know what the other one's name was, but yeah, yeah, that seemed a little odd to me as well.
The Pikes want the spice, and they want to keep Omega until the Bad Batch returns with the spice. I thought that was again, I kinda thought that was another mechanism just to make what happens at the end happen instead of any kind of logic. Because they could have just said, "We know who you guys are. We'll just track you down anywhere in the galaxy and take you out." And they're like, "No, we got to keep the little kid." I'm like, I don't know if that
Yeah,
really makes sense.
yeah, it's like, "Oh, we're keeping her for collateral, so you gotta, go get us our stuff, and then, then we're square."
Right. But
Yeah,
let the
that
mastermind Sid walk.
yeah.
Make any sense to me. I don't know. So Sid and Wrecker are going to be the two that are going to go down and retrieve the spice, which I found to be the strangest pairing of all time, personally. And one crate was found as we start going back and forth, and Omega is talking to Roland. And when Ruby lays on Omega, then you get that moment where you're like, "Oh, here we go. Here's the redemptive line," where he's like, "Oh, why does my pet like this kid so much?" And it's like having a cat.
Yeah.
Like one time, a long, long time ago, I went over to Alex's place, and this cat just popped up on my lap. And the family
Yep.
said, "That's how we know we can trust this guy."
No, we have 2 overly friendly cats, and they do that to everybody. And you know what? They can, especially if you're a person that hates cats, they'll sense that, and they'll jump right in your lap.
That
So,
is outstanding. They're like, "You're gonna get over your fears." Beep.
yep.
But the Ruby does similar on here, but she really likes Omega. And Roland sees that and vice versa. So there's a connection
Mhm.
with pet
Yeah.
ownership here. So Sid and Wrecker have secured the final crate. But of course, they wake up the hive, and Tech had created this light bomb of sorts to get rid of the hive. That was actually pretty cool. I liked the effect that showed up on screen as it all went down. Remind me of like some of the old 80s cartoons where the lights emanating all over the place and
Yeah.
stuff.
It kinda remind me, I don't know why, but it kinda remind me of, the prequels, the episode 2, Attack of the Clones,
Ah,
when Jango Fett has his, I don't know what those weapons were that the slave one I can't call it the slave one anymore, it got canceled. Um, that like, it's like a depth charge or something that the ship had, and it had this really cool effect where it exploded everywhere. And that's what this reminded me of, but it was, not an explosive of harmful material. It was
Right.
all an explosion of light, and it was really
Yes.
cool.
I liked it. I liked that. Whoever drew all that or
Mhm,
animated all that, excuse me,
mhm.
did a great job. The Bad Batch returns all 6 crates of the spice, and the Pikes allegedly are going to kill Roland, but instead they just chop off one of his horns instead. And I was like, "Oh my goodness." But this is where the interesting part comes because Sid says, "Hey, the first round's on me," which every round should be on Sid at this point, but
Yeah,
I'll
no kidding.
digress. And Hunter stops Omega and he's like, "Why did you stand up for Roland?" It was like he was curious and needed to understand this to move forward. And she said she's not sure, but since Ruby likes him, maybe he's not all bad. What did you think about that scene?
That that was kind of hokey.
Okay.
I thought anyway.
Okay.
So again, you're kind of judging the character of an animal who, has a liking to this, the one of the villains of this episode. And so, Omega's saying, well, maybe there's something more there. I'm like, that's kind of hokey, I thought. But it's
But
my
Omega
opinion.
seems to believe it, so maybe Hunter's gonna start buying into this. Real quick, I did want to mention that at tvnetwork.com, if you click on the store button, it takes you to our designs on TeePublic. And we have a really cool new design, which is called the Superior Loki. So Alex is a Loki. I'm a Loki. Everybody seems to be a Loki now. But this is
Nice.
the superior Loki, which is alligator Loki. And if you want to get one, it's going to be on sale for a couple more days, and it's just $13. So if you want to support the network and get either that, or we have other designs, which our Glorious Purpose design is selling very well as well. And it is kind of like a Marvel, Marvel Studios logo, but it's green tinted and it says Glorious Purpose instead. So it's
Hmm.
for more so for Loki. And then of course we have gold and our white tpnetwork.com logo that you can get on multiple colored
Nice.
shirts. So if you want to support us, you can head to tpnetwork.com and click the store button, or you can choose to join our Patreon or PayPal and click our donate button on the website. We would appreciate your support for independent media.
I think
Alex?
we do OnlyFans too, but you don't want to see us naked.
I'll tell you, I got some more ideas. I think there's some TV network co-host sayings that need to be T-shirts soon.
Oh, that'd be great.
But
Hey,
right
really,
now we gotta.
really
Oh, go
quick,
ahead.
really quick before we get into feedback or anything, I wanted to share my screen
Okay.
and show you the picture that I meant to show you everybody earlier.
Cool.
There we go. Can you see it?
No, nothing's coming up.
Okay. All right. Hang on. I know what I'm doing wrong.
Share
Oops.
tab.
Yep. I got to share my tab. There we go. Share.
Come in.
Oh, come on. There we go. There we go. Now I figured it out. Us old geezers and our technology. So this is a
Oh
there we go. So
goodness.
everyone should be able to see this. So yeah, so this is a scene from the cantina scene in the first Star Wars film in 1977.
Ah.
And so yeah, this is one of the creatures. And I don't know why in the back of my head when I was watching that episode, I thought this alien had a horn already chopped off. So I figured, oh, they're going to explain. I said, this is Duran right here, and they're going to explain why he got his horn chopped off. Well, half of that was true because it did explain why his horn was chopped off, but that was all coincidence because this particular alien did not have his horn chopped off. So,
Ah. Could they go back and retcon that though, if they wanted to?
oh, I'm sure they do. They've done it already, and I kind of hope they don't, but
We gotta rate this episode. What are you gonna give this one?
oh, I did not like this episode at all.
Yeah,
And
it was a toughie.
out of yeah, we had out of all the episodes, this was by far the worst one because it was all filler. That's why I called it filler mania at the very beginning. Really nothing to advance the plot at all. So I am I'm going to give this, oh boy. I'm gonna give this a 6 out of 10.
Okay.
And that's being generous because I was gonna give it a 5 out of 10, but I'm giving it a
Oh,
6 out of 10.
yeah. I can definitely understand because it was a sad and unfortunate departure from where I thought we were headed. I'm like, this is episode
Yeah,
13. We're going to be screeching into this final run of stuff. They've, I mean, they've got to start tying this season up with a nice
yeah,
little bow
and
and getting
and
us
that's what
ready
I
for
was
next.
looking for. I thought the exact same thing. We're gonna head right there, but alas, we weren't. So, yeah, it was a big letdown, and so I don't know if it's my disappointment from not being where I think they need to be, but hey, I'm not a writer for the show, but being a avid connoisseur of episodic television, I know this is not the way to go.
No, I agree with you. I'll give it just a 1 point higher. I'm going to give it a 7. I kind of liked just the interactivity of the pet with the different various people and how they did that and tied it into the overall story of this episode. And it was kind of cute, but other than that, man, I wish we could have saw that mission they went on before they were heading back. I wanted to see that, and then I wanted
Yeah, that was
Sid
a
to
little
have
bit
some,
more interesting, wasn't it?
yeah, and I wanted Sid to have some sort of uh I don't know, like she's got to be a better strategist than what we saw on here. I mean, that seemed very easy to take her whole stuff over to me.
Yeah, especially by a criminal that he's not an A-lister for sure, maybe a C-lister, kind of like low on the rung, so to speak. And so for her to be taken over from someone like him, yeah, didn't make a lot of sense.
Eric wanted to know, and you're gonna be my only hope on this, but Eric wanted to know what is the significance of cutting his horn off. I would assume it's got something to do with just making him shamed or something. But what do you say? Cutting Roland's horn.
Yeah, it's definitely something for shaming, but yeah, and you just got me as I turned off all of my stuff.
We got you right at the end. I didn't know if it was like something that's just common knowledge to like hardcore
So
Star Wars fans or what.
and again, by the time I was watching this, I'm like, okay, so they explained the horn chopping. So then I looked everything up and it's like, no, this is a new character. So again, for all you Star Wars fans, when you're not sure about something, Wikipedia is your friend.
We get a lot of Wikipedia sightings, blurry pictures. They're like, what's that big?
Yep. And my computer's like moving super slow today, so I don't know what the problem is, but I don't see anything on that right now. But um, so my humble opinion is that it is indeed something in the Devoronian society that has to do with shame.
Okay.
And let's see. All right. Society and culture. Maybe I should have got biology and appearance, but no. Again, everybody feel free to go to Wikipedia, and they got a whole lot of information
Goodies.
about. And yeah, and again, this particular alien species was not just on the animated. They've made appearances all over, from video games to uh, stories to novels to all kinds of stuff.
Nice.
Oh,
Excellent. Anything else before we wrap her up, Alex?
no, I'm kind of hoping our next episode is going to be a vast improvement from this episode because,
And
like
we're
I said, a huge disappointment. That's all I'm going to say.
And we're not going to predict anything anymore ahead of time because every
No.
week I keep going, this has got to be the time. Okay, they got to start it next week. Oh, next week they'll start it. No, I'm just going to go in and just go, you know what? Whatever they give me, let me just rate that episode, I guess.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Alex, for carving out the time. I always appreciate it.
Hey, no problem.
It's a lot of fun. Gang, if you're not subscribed to the podcast, please be sure to subscribe to the Mandalorian Fan Podcast. We're going to be covering all the Star Wars stuff worth covering on Disney Plus. But for Alex, I'm Hank. Until the next time, we're signing off.
See ya.
TPE Network. There ain't nothing else like it.